got a bunch of. We have no shortage of ideas for things. Anything from a Donkey Kong drum circle to board game developers nights, which we've hosted several times, and a big thing that has brought in a lot of people lately has been the Smash fighting tournaments.
Mm-hmm.
There's a big scene of that in the NorCal area.
Mm-hmm. Can you give us your name and tell us a bit about what you do here?
All right. Well, I'm Christopher Wolf. I'm the curator and inventory manager here at the Museum of Art and Digital Entertainment. And most of my duties usually include every time we get a donation or a new item. Usually my duties include inputting that into the digital database and forwarding that to the treasurer in order to appropriate tax return forms for the donor.
So, how did the Maids collection get started? Because there's a lot out there.
Oh, yes. It initially got started by a small group of private individual collectors pooling their resources together and finding a small place to more or less store their collections, but also making them as preserved and playable as possible, and also opening up that collection to friends, the general public. And for the first initial several months, it was just more or less just a publicly accessed collection. But the real catalyst for turning this into a museum was when GamePro magazine made a liquidation, and they voided their entire collection to us, basically. And that included boxes and boxes and boxes of award statuettes, magazines, and of course games. And that more than doubled the collection almost overnight. And that was the catalyst for turning this from just a small collection of games to a publicly held museum.
So, what's the biggest challenge when it comes to curating the games that the Maid has?
Possibly the biggest challenge would be organizing an exhibit that has more or less universal appeal to not only people who play games, but also people who are interested in history, who have an interest in how we affect Oakland, the Oakland community, and trying to appeal to as many broad general interests and not just focusing on a niche market.
What are some examples of exhibits you think have succeeded?
Well, some of our successful exhibits include one of our first ones was the 3D games exhibit. One that was actually very successful and actually preceded the video game exhibit in the Smithsonian was the games you can frame exhibit, and that had pretty much entailed games that we felt reflected certain art mediums. Like we had Paper Mario demonstrating paper artwork, we had Amaterasu for the PS2, which illustrated Japanese ink art forms. We had Shadow of the Colossus with its heavy shadows and muted colors reflecting French Impressionist paintings. And we tried to get as many games that had as little interference, like as little heads-up displays as possible, that you could basically take a screenshot and almost see it as indistinguishable from a painted work.
Okay. So you've talked a bit about making these exhibits that are accessible and whatnot. When I was looking at some of the cartridges, there are a lot of obscure cartridges that I've seen. How do you usually do those usually just come with people's collections? Or?
For the most part, a lot of getting a collection is finding the diamonds in the rough. Almost inevitably, everyone wants to get rid of their copy of Super Mario Brothers Duck Hunt for NES. We have close to maybe 20 different copies of that, and but every so often we'll find one little gem that someone parts with, and we make sure to make note of that, not only when we put it into our collection, but also uh, when we mark up the value and returning the value to the donator in the tax return form.
Okay.
But every so often, not only will people donate a rare item to us, but we'll also sort of go out, find little gems found in flea markets, garage sales. Uh, we, we sometimes make the effort to look for things that we're missing or deals that we come across.
So you talked a little bit about these gems that you might find. What are some examples of those gems that are on display?
Let's see. Well, there's definitely a lot of things that we really hold dear are some of the things in our display cabinets. We have an original Magnavox Odyssey from the early 70s. We have a copy of SimCity 2000, which was signed by Will Wright, as well as several developers from Maxis Studios. Every so often we'll get a developer who lives in the area or is visiting the Bay Area who comes into the museum to see us, and every time we get a developer with an attachment to a particular project, we'll try to get their signature on a cartridge or a box or anything that we can get a signature figure to.
So let's see. Now with that all kind of your bit about your duties, how did you get started at the Maid?
Well, funny story. Initially, I was living in downtown Oakland, and the Maid was at its old location, which was about 2 blocks away from where I was living. And someone who worked in the same building as the Maid, who lived in the same apartment complex as the Maid, who I walked his dog every now and then when he was out of town, mentioned, "Hey, there's this place with a lot of video games." So I stopped by every Wednesday or so and would just stop in just to, get my Mario or Zelda fix. And I was staying a little later than usual when they were having their meeting one night. And there were some difficulties that they had with the curator at the time. And when those tensions were sort of brought to light, he left in a bit of an angry fuss. And about 3 minutes later, they pretty much they knew me, and every so often I would notice that the items were out of order. Q came before E. Super Nintendo came before the Sega Master System. So OCD started kicking in, and I would impulsively start reorganizing the shelves. And they saw that I was, staying around organizing anyway, so they decided to just make me a curator in title as well as in unofficial duty. So it was more or less made official. And ever since, I've been alphabetizing, organizing, and curating ever since.
So now that we've kind of also talked about how you got started as a curator, how did you get started in gaming?
I initially got started in gaming when my older brother got his Super Nintendo, and initially he was interested, and he invited me to play some of the two-player stuff, and his interest in gaming kind of fell through. He became more of a movie guy, and I inherited the Super Nintendo as a hand-me-down. And I initially was scared at the prospect of playing because, as a kid, I'm like 6 or 7 years old, and the concept of dying in a video game was
Yeah,
That
it's not great.
that sort of coincided with my initial awareness of the concept of death. So it's just, I guess the concept of dying in a game kind of matched the slow awareness of death as a actual concept, but sort of overstretching here, but sort of inheriting my brother's Super Nintendo was what got me initially interested in gaming, and some of the titles like Mario World, Super Metroid definitely was a pretty much that solidified my idea that games were something to be enjoyed and invested in.
What kind of games do you guys try to look for?
We try to pretty much look for almost any title that we don't have our hands on already, but we try to get as broad a collection as possible. Obviously, we try to find more popular titles, the Metroid series, the Smash Brothers series, games that have either a large following to this day, or that have a significant cultural impact, like the original Mortal Kombat, which was responsible for
The ESRB.
the ESRB, the game rating system back in the mid-90s. Things that have sort of a historical, cultural impact are games that we definitely keep an eye out for.
What's your favorite thing that you guys have?
Hard to say. I definitely count the Games You Can Frame exhibit, the artwork in games, as definitely a source of pride. And yeah, so the exhibits are definitely something I feel proud of. We also count the regular tournaments, the Smash tournaments, and the game developers meetup that we host every now and then for board game as well as video game developers. Are a fantastic way for people to not only develop their own titles, but also to network and collaborate amongst each other.
That'd be really fun.
Let's see. Kind of to end on a different note, can you tell us your favorite game of the last 5 years, and then probably your favorite game ever?
Probably within the last 5 years. Two definitely stand out.
2 is fine.
Fallout 4 was my initial introduction to the Fallout series, kind of working my way backwards.
Mm-hmm.
But I liked kind of the storyline. Graphics are alright, but ultimately what really holds together a game is the story. So I liked how the Fallout 4 story sort of coalesced into the in-game world and how it all sort of played together. And that was definitely one that I liked. And Stardew Valley was also a really good one in that you identify with the characters and you can sort of explore this wide open sandbox world. And probably my all-time favorite game probably would include the Super Nintendo title Super Metroid, because of the aspect of exploring and finding new places, growing stronger at the further you explore.
Yeah, cool.